Hello everybody. It's a little after 3:30 on Thursday, February 8th, and we're in North Lake Worth at North Palm Beach, Florida. The Lake Worth Inlet is a couple miles down that way. You can see those some buildings in the far distance there. There's a bridge have to go under, and then Peanut Island is down there, and the inlet is right on the other side of that. And that's the way from Lake Worth or West Palm Beach to get out into the Atlantic and cross over the Gulf Stream into the Bahamas. Well, been here about 3 weeks, and it's been one front after the other. We had one blow this past Tuesday. The highest I saw it clocked at on my wind speed instrument was 47 knots. So it wasn't quite as bad as the one when we were up on Hobe Sound, and that was the last video that I'd posted. And this one, the worst of it was during daylight hours, so that was a big improvement over the last one, which hit at night, and that's always scary. So this one was not too bad, other than this boat that's right behind me now. He was right beside me. Like I said, I'd been here for about 3 weeks, and the big blow was on Tuesday, and he rolled in Monday evening and plopped down right beside me. I wasn't too thrilled about that. I had 150 feet of chain out. So anyway, it's no, I don't know how some people think. I wouldn't have done that. But anyway, let me tell you why I've been here for 3 weeks, other than the weather. And all of these one blow after the other, and just crappy weather, and a few weather windows to cross the Gulf Stream over to the Bahamas are supposedly resulting from the El Nino effect that has been in place all fall and winter. And so they're getting it over in the Bahamas as well. It's a matter of just trying to move from one protected anchorage to the next, depending on which way the wind's blowing. All right, I'll give you a little background story. I called my insurance company, my boat insurance company, back in September, long before I left the Chesapeake, heading down here to get a Bahamas coverage rider added to my existing insurance policy on the boat. And I was told then, oh, no problem, but we now have a policy that we just allow 4 months in the Bahamas, and we need to know when the coverage starts. So we need to know when you are going to cross over from Florida to the Bahamas. So I said, well, I don't know that until I get down there, and then of course wait for a weather window. And they said, well, call us when you're ready to cross over and give us the date. So I said, okay, no problem. Well, a couple of weeks ago, there was a weather window coming up the following, I guess I called them on a Friday, and it was going to be like the middle of the following week. And so I called, and the gentleman at Geico BoatUS, yeah, I'll name the insurance company, And I've had boats for 40 some years, and I'd always insured with BoatUS. And now Geico has taken over their insurance business, and it's gone to hell in a handbasket as far as I'm concerned. I've never filed a claim, always paid my premiums on time, no problems. Anyway, when I called that Friday a couple of weeks ago, guy said, I'm sorry, we can't issue you a Bahamas rider because your boat has not been surveyed within the last 5 years. And I said, well, I called and I tried to do due diligence back in September, and the agent I spoke with then did not bother to tell me, oh, by the way, you need a survey within the last 5 years. And, well, I'm sorry, it's not my problem. And so I spoke to a supervisor, yes, call me Karen, but and the guy I talked to initially, when I asked him, I'd like to speak to a supervisor, and he said, well, he's just going to tell you the same thing I did. I said, well, I've got time to waste, so let me speak to a supervisor. So talked to a guy, and he was a little nicer, and he said, yeah, that guy's been on the job for 6 months, and let me see what I can do. So, and he said he would call me back by the end of the day. This was Friday morning. Well, about 10 till 5 Friday afternoon, he called me back, and by the way, I told him that I'd had a rigging survey done within the previous year, and I had that, and I had the invoice showing where I'd paid for the work that was done, and he said, okay, we'll send that, and maybe that will help. Well, it didn't. I got a email from their underwriter folks, and basically they said I had to have a full condition and valuation survey before they could issue a Bahamas rider on my existing policy, which doesn't expire until May of this year. So anyway, I spent that weekend and the following Monday calling around other insurance companies. I found out that Progressive will issue a policy without a survey. Their top valuation is agreed value is $75,000. I think mine is currently $90,000, which is still low on this boat. And I was willing to live with that, but they have a box, latitude and longitude that Bahamas coverage applies to, and it's tiny. It doesn't include a good part of the Abacos, Hopetown, Marsh Harbor, anything out to the east doesn't cover. Doesn't go as far south as Elizabeth Harbor and Georgetown down at Great Exuma. Doesn't include Cat Island, or Long Island, I'm sorry, which is a little further east and south of that, and so it's basically no coverage at all. I called State Farm. They require a survey to issue a new policy. I talked to Markle, and both of those were, well, actually I talked to Progressive again, and Markle, and those were through USAA, which I joined over the weekend, as I'm past prior military, and I'd never bothered to join. Well, I knew they had boat insurance, so I joined them, and then got separate quotes from Progressive, and Markle wouldn't give me a quote, but they require a survey as well, and then they'll give you a quote. So anyway, long story short, I'm not going to the Bahamas because without coverage over there, chances are I'd hit a coral head and rip the bottom out of the boat and lose it all. I had thought about going down to the Keys. Actually went as far as to call a couple of marinas down at Key West. I was thinking, okay, I'll splurge and get a slip there for a week or so and do the Key West thing, and then from there go down to the dry Tortugas in Fort Jefferson down there. Well, no slips available. Everything is booked well in advance down there at Key West, and so I should be calling now about next year if I wanted to do that. And plus, with the weather being as crappy as it has been, with all these fronts blowing through, to get from here down to Key West is pretty much all outside. I would go out Lake Worth Inlet, and then the first anchorage to speak of is down at No Name Harbor at Key Biscayne below Miami, and that's 70 nautical miles from Lake Worth Inlet. So that's about 12 hours at 6 knots. And then from there, the next reasonable anchorage is Rodriguez Key, and that's about 45 miles from No Name. And you can anchor on the north or south side depending on which way the wind's blowing, but no protection from the east or the west. And then from there down to Marathon, and it's jam-packed. I'm still on Boot Key Harbor Facebook group, and they're saying there are like 25 boats anchored outside. There's an inside anchorage, and it's packed. There's a 2-week at least waiting list for a mooring ball in Boot Key Harbor. And I've been there, done that. And then there are fairly unprotected anchorages down at Key West, and with no slips available, I'd have to get one of those. And so I'm just thinking, why bother? I'm still in Florida. It's 70 odd degrees today, although it's cloudy and it was raining a little bit, but at least the wind is not blowing like crazy. And so I topped off my gasoline jugs for my generator and outboard today, and went and did one last Publix run. There's on the other side of those condos back over there, if you hang a right, there's a little bridge, and there's a really sketchy dinghy landing over there, and it has a corrugated tin seawall with a fence above it, and somebody spray painted on the seawall "theft" in big bold letters, and so you definitely need to lock your stuff up when you go over there. But it's convenient because there's a Publix supermarket about a block away, so easy walking distance, and so that has been convenient, and that's one reason I've stayed here as long as I have. And plus there's a West Marine down, I guess it's A1A, back behind those condos or apartments or whatever over there, and of course you can see there's a big mega yacht marina. That's a Safe Harbor Marina, same thing down there. That's part of the same marina, and they cater only to big power boats. And I had called them when I first got here to see about having some a box with some mail and some packages sent to them from my mail forwarding service. And I told them, you know, I'll get a transient slip for a day or two if that's what it takes. And the guy said, well, you know, we don't have anything available, and we cater to year-round contracts on mega yachts, basically. And so, but they did let me have the package sent there, and so I topped off my diesel tank from my jerry cans. I've got 3 5-gallon diesel jugs there, and that filled up my onboard tank, and then I took the dinghy in and the jerry cans and filled up with diesel, and got the package. And the guy I talked to said, oh, by the way, I was told not to do that again. So not terribly customer friendly to anything other than mega yachts. Just figured I'd throw that out there in case anybody with anything less than about a 60 or 70 foot powerboat decides to come down here. But overall, it's been a pretty good anchorage, though I was surprised that there was as much room here as there is. A few boats have left. There was one right over there that left this morning, and another one was beyond it, and they left yesterday, I think. Anyway, so back to my plans. Though I've decided to slowly make my way back up towards Solomon's and home, and you know, I'll stay in Florida for the month of February and then see how that goes. But I'm planning on moving back up to Hobe Sound, where I was for the big blow back in January, and I'll probably stay. I'm heading out tomorrow. It's only like 15 nautical miles north of here, but I have a bunch of drawbridges that are timed. The first one opens on the 1/4 and 3/4 hour. The next one opens on the 1/2 and the hour, and that sort of thing. And I think there's, you know, 4, maybe 5 of them that I have to deal with. So I'll do that tomorrow, and then drop anchor back in Hobe Sound and stay there for the weekend, because on weekends down here all the locals are out, and it gets kind of crazy on the water, and so I don't want to be trying to move on Saturday or Sunday based on past experience. So that's the way things stand right now, and you know, Magnolia's Bahamas trip the Bahamas part of it is a bust, and so that's not going to happen. And I did the Keys winter before last, and so I know what to expect down there, and that's pretty much a zoo. So I'll just stop off at some of the places that I've enjoyed on the way down here, still enjoy what good weather there is. You know, that's kind of been a bust as well. Granted, I'm in shorts and a t-shirt, but I haven't seen anything get out of the low to mid 70s here yet, and in the mornings it's been in the 50s, so not quite what you look forward to when you come to Florida for the winter. But anyway, enough whining and crying and moaning and bitching and complaining. So it is what it is, and overall it's been an enjoyable trip. Luckily, I enjoy my own company pretty much, and I've met some nice folks along the way, but haven't made any lifelong friends on the way. But anyway, I figured y'all were curious about, well, what happened to Bob, and is he in the Bahamas yet? And so the answer is a resounding no, and it's not going to happen this year or this trip. And but we're ready to start slowly making our way back up, and I'll get a survey and haul out when I get back to Maryland, and we'll definitely be switching insurance companies. There's no way in hell I will stay with Geico BoatUS after the way they treated me in this instance. So they can all burn in hell as far as I'm concerned. But that's all I have to say about that. So I hope everyone's doing well and staying warm and surviving the winter up north. And we'll talk again next time. Take care.